Welcome to a brand new episode of CNB. I am Siddharth Vinayak Patankar. The Kia Sonet has really come in and created a huge storm. You saw all the details, of course, on our detailed review a few episodes back. And last week the car also got launched. You know all of this. What you didn't know at the time, and nor did we, were the prices for the high-end variants on the automatic side. Well, now all those details are out and you can get them on carandbike.com. So now let's go on to our top story. It is the latest from Škoda in our market, and it's been a long time coming. An all-new model from Škoda. Finally we have it. It's the Karoq. It's a small SUV and it's what replaced the Yeti in the global markets. Session spent time with it and this is our review.
Škoda SUVs have had a lukewarm welcome in India. Right from the Yeti in 2010, which was a car far ahead of its times, to the Kodiaq, which was launched in 2016. So when we drove the more compact Karoq last year in Prague, we waited for it to come to the country.
Yes, Škoda India took its own sweet time to bring in the Karoq to our shows, but the SUV is finally here. This has the right proportions, it is bold and stylish and comes in only one top spec variant with all the bells and whistles.
The Karoq's design is heavily inspired by the company's flagship SUV, the Kodiaq. It gets a similar face with the signature butterfly grille, rectangular headlamps with Škoda's crystalline design elements with LED DRLs and trapezoidal fog lamps. The Karoq also gets a wide air dam with black bumper cladding. Then there are the 17-inch dual-tone alloy wheels, silver roof rails and a pair of wraparound LED tail lamps with distinctive C-shaped guidelights. Also, unlike the model we drove earlier, the India spec Karoq gets the new logo with large Škoda lettering on the tailgate.
Now compared to the all-black cabin of the Sportline trim, this India spec Karoq comes with this dual-tone beige and black interior, which is much loved by Indian customers. You also get this electrically adjustable driver's seat along with 3 memory functions, and other features include a leather-wrapped steering wheel, this 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system that gets Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You also get this panoramic sunroof.
The cabin also features a digital instrument cluster with virtual cockpit, dual zone automatic climate control, paddle shifters and a rear foldable armrest. The Karoq comes with a long list of safety features as standard, and these include 9 airbags, ABS with EBD, electronic stability control, hill brake assist, Parktronic sensors with rear camera, keyless entry with engine start-stop function, and an electromechanical parking brake among others.
Now the Škoda Karoq comes with the same 1.5-litre turbocharged TSI petrol engine that we tested last year in Prague. However, the difference here is that the engine is now BS6 compliant and it makes about 148 brake horsepower. However, the engine likes to be revved hard and peak power is achieved somewhere around 6000 RPM. As for the torque, the engine makes about 250 Newton meters and it is available from as low as 1500 RPM. This means that the engine has a good low and mid range. Bringing all this together is this beautiful 7-speed DSG gearbox that sends power to the front wheels.
Yes, there's only the petrol engine on offer. And if you are wondering about fuel economy, well, it's about 15 kilometers per litre, which is quite good for a compact SUV. In terms of ride and handling, we have to say the Karoq just feels perfect. The suspension, although set a bit on the stiffer side, glides over rough patches with great ease, and unless it's a big pothole, you barely feel the undulations on the road. It's built on the versatile MQB platform, so the Karoq offers great handling as well. Its compact proportions lend to that handling, so it sometimes feels like you're driving a compact sedan with a clear view of the road. Interesting combination, right? NVH levels too are in check, and yes, the cabin is very quiet. The Škoda Karoq comes to India as a completely built unit and thus gets a premium price tag of almost 25 lakh rupees. In comparison, its counterpart from Volkswagen, the T-Roc, is 5 lakh rupees cheaper. However, it's also smaller and not as premium and spacious as the Karoq. On the other hand, the top-spec petrol variants of the Jeep Compass and Hyundai Tucson are cheaper by 3 lakh rupees and 1,50,000 rupees respectively. So yes, the Karoq is the most expensive petrol SUV in this space. However, for that price, you also get a host of premium features, a powerful petrol turbo engine, and a very comfortable and capable SUV.
That's the all-new Škoda Karoq. React to it. Now, the Kia Sonet drives into a very crowded segment. The subcompact SUV space now accounts for more than half of all SUV sales in India as well, and it's only expected to grow. The Toyota Urban Cruiser just drove into it this week, and of course the Tata Nexon is here too. The Nissan Magnite and its Renault counterpart arrive very soon as well, so lots to play for there. But let's quickly go now and take a look at the turbo variant on the Hyundai Grand i10 Nios.
It's been just over a year since Hyundai launched the new generation of the Grand i10 in the market and called it the Grand i10 Nios. The hatchback had a lot to offer right from the time it was launched. Petrol and diesel, manual and AMT, and later Hyundai added a CNG option as well. At last count, there were 14 variants on offer. The 15th and latest is the Turbo GDI. Now clearly Hyundai has led the way when it comes to giving you petrol turbo engine options on its cars. It's a long list. In fact, the Creta gets it, the Verna gets it, Aura, Venue all get it. And now even the Grand i10 Nios gets a turbo petrol engine option. The big question is, how much difference has a turbo tag made to this hatchback? Earlier this year, Volkswagen introduced the PS6 Polo with a 1-liter turbo engine, which is right now the only real competition to this Nios. The Turbo GDI variant of the car is based on its sports trim, and the only giveaway on the exterior is the turbo badge on the glossy black grille. It gets 2 single-tone and 2 dual-tone paint options. The red with black roof you see here is exclusive to the Turbo. The projector headlamps and 15-inch alloys are also standard on the Turbo. Inside too, there are some features that come as standard, like the wireless charger, a front USB charger, and a leather-wrapped steering wheel. Lot of cues inside this cabin which tell you that you're driving a turbo engine variant of the car. All black interiors, lot of red accents all over around the AC vents, around the dials, red stitching on the steering wheel, black seats with red stitching once again, and also the key fob, which is all black, which is a nice touch, I must say. Like other sports variants, you also get the 8-inch touchscreen that comes with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, voice recognition and Bluetooth connectivity. What you don't get when compared to the top Astra trim is a start-stop button, rear wiper, cooled glove box and adjustable headrests. Now, of course, we have seen this engine before on so many cars from Hyundai, as I said earlier. But on cars like the Venue or the Verna, it gets higher numbers in terms of both power and torque. So it's been slightly mellowed down on the Aura and now on the Nios. So this one gets around 99 bhp of maximum power and a very good torque figure of 172 Newton meters. But clearly the Nios is a lighter car than Aura, which means the power to weight ratio is better on this car, which clearly means that this is a far more responsive setup that you get. What also adds to this drive experience is the fact that the peak torque kicks in quite early here at around 1500 RPM and stays with you till almost 4000 RPM, which means that all your maneuvers, your gear changes get the response you're looking for, and you can have fun while driving this car at most times. There's a 5-speed manual gearbox that comes as standard and there's no automatic. Though Hyundai would do well to bring the DCT box to this little pocket rocket too. Now I've been driving this car both in the city as well as on empty roads, and the gear shift of course is quite smooth, which we've seen on all Hyundai cars and on the Nios as well. And what also adds to that is the fact that many a times you don't need to downshift really, because the engine is capable of handling lower speeds at higher gears. Now there are elements that will of course contribute to a more pleasurable experience when you're driving a turbo on the Nios. One of them is the engine sound or noise, if you like to call it. You would want some bit of that when you're driving this engine, and that is there. While Hyundai does not claim this, the suspension tuning on the turbo is slightly stiffer than the stock Grand i10 Nios. This complements the car's nature and gives it a distinction over the regular variants. The steering could be more engaging to keep in step with that, but on the whole, the new generation car's dynamics do come through. The emergency stop signal with flashing brake lights, dual airbags, ABS with EBD and front seatbelt reminders are standard. The turbo variant is priced at 7,70,000 rupees ex-showroom. For the dual tone, it's an additional 5,000 rupees. That does mean that you cannot call this turbo a value for money option, but it is not for the value conscious anyway. It's for those who like to drive hard and keep a smile on their face while doing it.
We have known the Ford Endeavour to be rugged, bold, full-size SUV. Ford launched the updated Endeavour earlier this year, and we drove the car in Rajasthan, went dune bashing as well. But now, it has introduced a new sport variant in order to keep the momentum going and also fend off the new arrivals in the segment. Humans are known to have a dark side, but who knew? Even the Ford Endeavour does. Yes, today we are testing the Ford Endeavour Sport. And before you get all excited, it is just a variant which looks sinister, is in a perpetual state of brooding, and yes, makes for a lot of presence on the road. As far as engine specifications and features are concerned, it stays the same. All the changes are focused only on the exterior of the car. So, let's begin. Our test car, rather SUV, came dressed in ebony black, and all the chrome elements on the standard ND have been blacked out on the sport variant. So quickly, let me run you through the changes on the Ford Endeavour Sport. Starting from the front, the grille, it's completely different. It is the blacked out unit, gets mesh pattern instead of bold chrome slats on the regular model. The headlights are smoked as well, they have that black appearance, and the front bumper, it is completely blacked out. The skid plate itself is fully black. Other updated bits include new alloy wheels, sport decals on the rear doors and the tailgate, and the side step. And yes, they are now colored in ebony black. The list of ebony black bits include the wing mirrors and the roof rails. The Endeavour badging on the fender now wears black too instead of chrome. If you look at the rear, the tailgate applique that is blacked out as well. On the standard model, it was a chrome affair. So all these things together make for the Ford Endeavour Sport, completely blacked out, and I think in terms of presence, this looks slightly better than the regular model of the Endeavour. The interior stays exactly the same as the regular model, which we think is a miss too. An all-black cabin could have worked very well, complementing the exterior color. So the Endeavour Sport continues to get a 2-litre turbocharged diesel engine, and this is the same engine that was introduced in the car earlier in the year in Feb 2020. Now my colleague Shubham has already driven the car, and you can see the review on our YouTube channel. You can read about it on carandbike.com. And the engine on this car, it is the same. So the power output, the torque output, it stays the same. The gearbox is a 10-speed automatic unit, which is very, very precise. In fact, if you're driving on the highway in the city on mild off-road trails, this gearbox really does it well. As far as ratios are concerned, they're well spaced out, and you don't have to prod the throttle too hard. In terms of ride quality and handling, we still think this is the best SUV in the segment on both these parameters. The prices of the Endeavour range from 29.99 lakh rupees and go up to 34.45 lakh rupees. That's the Endeavour Sport for you. It looks even more rugged now. It has all the good characteristics of the Endeavour, which is good ride quality, best-in-class handling, and as far as features and creature comfort is concerned, yes, this car does get some of it. The features list could have been better, but overall, this makes for a sensible package if you're in the market to buy a full-size SUV.
So that is the new sport variant on the Ford Endeavour. Now, the last time we had our subcompact showdown, the XUV300 has been one of those winners. It's a very formidable assault on this space from the Kia Sonet, no doubt. The Venue, in fact, was our most recent winner in this space. So really there's plenty to fight for. All of that is on the show next week. So definitely tune in to this wonderful pitched battle between these subcompact warriors. In the meanwhile, promise me you'll wear your seatbelts front or back, your helmets also front or back, and keep your masks on. Stay safe.